Hey everyone, welcome to Jay's Quick Thoughts. So today I wanted to talk about an update for the Netflix live-action Avatar series, where they're going to be introducing Toph, since she was first introduced in season 2 of the original show, and she's a fan favorite character, so a lot of people were really excited to see her, but they are making some changes to her character for this show, which isn't too surprising considering the fact that they have been open about the fact that they're made changes to the show compared to the original. Like, for example, Sokka's attitude towards women, which was originally pretty sexist, but then he has character development throughout the show to change his worldview. But the people behind this live action show thought that storyline was too problematic, so they decided to cut it, which many people, myself included, didn't think was necessary. But to be honest, I feel like a live action adaptation isn't really necessary to begin with anyway. But anyway, there was this interview with the actress who's slated to play Toph in the upcoming season, and she's talking about some of the changes they're making to her character. A lot of people are not too thrilled with this change. As you can see here, it says many won't be fans of the newest change with Avatar: The Last Airbender's tomboy Toph, since a lot of people are pretty protective of this series since it was such a major part of many of our childhoods, and a lot of the changes they're making just haven't really been meshing well. Like going back to the sexism thing with Sokka, where that ended up giving Suki less to do and she kind of just ended up fawning all over him just out of the get-go, which felt like a disservice to her character. And Avatar: The Last Airbender is a pretty solid series to begin with, and messing with it just feels like it's kind of bringing it down. But let's get into the article. Mia checks Toph being older won't be the only change that Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender will make with the character. So yeah, Toph was 12 originally, but they're bumping her up in age. Netflix's live-action adaptation had mixed reactions from fans and critics regarding its changes to the animated series, specifically with some characters. For example, the live-action series portrayed Katara as more timid and insecure than her animated counterpart. Yeah, that was another thing that people had a lot of problems with Katara's character. But you know, there's a lot to talk about, and I did a video about the live-action series previously, and you know, it looks like they're still moving forward even with all the concerns. But here we are. So Toph's new actress Mia Chek recently revealed some changes to her character, like the earthbending prodigy being a little bit older due to her casting. However, this newest change with Toph might not go over well with many fans. Live-action Toph will be more feminine. So Toph's character in the original was very tomboyish. She is blind and she comes from a very well-to-do family, and they impose a lot of expectations on her, not only because of their status but also because of her disability, where they basically treated her as they needed to protect her and she needed to be kind of stifled. And even though she was an earthbender, they wouldn't really let her do anything past the very basics. So she always had to put on this air of the perfect daughter, the perfect lady, when in reality she's this very powerful, probably one of the most powerful earthbenders. She literally created different techniques that were never seen before, like metal bending. And she was also very rough and tumble, and she very much embraced not just earthbending, but basically the earth itself. And she would joke with the guys, and she would clash with Katara, who is more feminine. But despite that, they were still good friends. And she even did some girly things with Katara, like going to the spa and getting all dolled up. So it's not that she's like anti-feminine, just that her main personality very much embraces the tomboy aspect of her character. And now people are concerned about that being lost in this new adaptation. In an interview with Direct on the red carpet for Marshmallow, a sci-fi horror film about campfire stories coming to life, Mia Chek was asked how her portrayal of Toph in Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender would differ from the animated series. And see here, it shows her goofing around with Sokka and Aang, which was one of our first introductions to her more playful side. But here, Chek reaffirmed changes like Toph being a little older, but she also confirmed that the Earthbender will be slightly more feminine in the live-action series. My version of Toph is going to be a little bit older and slightly more feminine. I feel like I wanted to work into a very humanizing space for her because, you know, she was a cartoon, which I think is a little bit weird to say because it kind of of implies that to humanize her, they would have to make her more feminine, and her being tomboyish was just cartoony. But really, there's no right or wrong way to be a girl, and her being a tomboy is a totally valid thing for her to be. That's not like something that cartoons made up. So I think that was just a little bit weird to say. But it continues with, Check also mentioned how she had met with Toph's original voice actor, Michaela Jill Murphy, and how both of them have a very similar take in terms of process with the character. I have met Michaela, who plays the voice of Toph, and I feel like we have both a very similar take in terms of process. I think that voice acting and physical acting are probably going to have two different approaches. Admittedly, I'm not an expert at all in that field of acting, but I'm not entirely sure what they meant by that, and I wish that they had elaborated a little bit more. But moving on. Toph grappling with her femininity isn't a completely foreign concept, as the original animated series briefly touched on it. Yeah, that's true, and that's something I touched on. Toph being blind meant that she couldn't really connect with a lot of the more feminine aspects, I guess. Like, she doesn't know what anybody looks like, or even what she looks like, so she's not really that concerned with appearance anyway. But she did still have fun with Katara and do the spa day treatment with her. So I think that they can find a balance. Like, obviously Toph is a very nuanced and interesting character, and I just wish they hadn't been so, I guess, I don't want to say judgmental, but with the whole make her more human comment just seemed unnecessary in my opinion. Also, based on the first season of the live action show, I'm not too confident in their abilities to do nuance, if I'm being totally honest, just with the way they handled Sokka and some of Katara's elements. But yeah, I don't want to be too negative, but I'm not too confident either. The article goes on to say, it sounds sacrilegious to refer to Toph as feminine, but Check did strain that her version will be only slightly more feminine. I don't think sacrilegious is necessary. Like, she was obviously a tomboy outright, but she did not reject femininity either. Again, she did partake in it with Katara and at home. It's just that that's not her main personality. And a part of it is rebelling from her overbearing family, but still, I don't know, they're just harping on this a lot, and I don't think it was necessary. It just kind of comes off like the actress wants to make Toph more like herself instead of playing the character. And I kind of wish they would just play Toph for who she is. I mean, that's basically what acting is. But yeah, we'll just have to see where this goes, I guess. But while the animated series portrayed her as your typical tomboy, it did touch on her feminine side in a few episodes. The most blatant example was season 2, episode 15, The Tales of Ba Sing Se, where she and Katara go on a girls' day out at a spa. Despite her apprehension, Toph ended up having a great time with Katara, admitting, I'm not usually into that stuff, but I actually feel girly, with the two caked in makeup. It might also be that she trusts Katara, so she's willing to let her guard down a bit around her. Like, if she had been with her family doing this, she probably would have been miserable, but instead being with a close friend, and she's able to just kind of let go and let herself relax, so she can have fun with another side of herself. Because again, I don't think she outright rejects this stuff, it's just that she does have that rebellious nature, and she was stifled for so long that she very much embraced the tomboy aspect of her personality. It even showed how Toph grappled with her appearance and how it connected to her blindness, ending in a touching moment with Katara, who reaffirmed Toph's best qualities while also affirming to the young earthbender that she was really pretty, which Toph appreciated. Yeah, that was a really good scene, and I hope that we can still get moments like that in the live action, but we'll have to see. I do think that the original had a very fun and nuanced take on both femininity and Toph's more outward personality that was very tomboyish without denouncing either form of expression, because that's just not really Toph's character, and I hope that things don't get lost in translation. So the article goes on to say, another aspect to the character in the live-action series that could be explored more is her knowledge of high society as the child of a wealthy and respected family. While Toph acted nothing of the sort in the animated series, it was because she learned proper society behavior and chose to leave it. Again, I don't think it's fair to say she acted nothing of the sort, because like here, they sneak into like this high society party, and Toph is able to navigate it really well because she knows that world, and you know, they literally have a screenshot of a scene where she does use her knowledge of high society in this article, and then to kind of just say that they didn't do anything with that in the animated series is kind of misleading. And she also used her family name to get stuff that they needed while traveling. So yeah, I'm not sure where some of this is coming from, and hopefully the actual show will be able to balance these things. But again, given the first season, my expectations aren't high. But the article ends with, no matter the exchanges, executive producer Jabbar Raisani teased fans that Toph's debut and change to the gang's dynamic would be faithful to the animated series. Well, there was a lot of stuff in the live action show that wasn't faithful to the animated series, but we'll have to see. It just depends on how much the live action series will crank up Toph's limited feminine qualities from the cartoon and how it will delve into them. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about this. We'll remain optimistic, but expect the worst. I just still feel like this whole series probably wasn't really necessary, much like many live action adaptations of beloved cartoons. But yeah, that about sums up my thoughts on this whole situation. Let me know what you guys think of all this. Are you excited to see Toph? Are you nervous? Do you think this series wasn't necessary? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to our members: Tyrant Carnivore, Shiny Orc Boy, Depth Charge Media, Samaru163, Gabby Hime, Verdant Range, JVR, Equestron, Norman Sweet Cream, Way Beyond Coincidence, Hunter Rose, 80s Nostalgia Guy, Felix Bam, Lucas Geist, J Draws, Meowsers, Sky, Philip, Isaac Martinez, Garcia XV Legend, Tobias Weller, Bandito Bane, Mac B909, Dakari the Professor, Omni Fair, General Bolivar, Cavalcoj, Strider Exile, Phil C, Killer Bomb, Slawa Saporiguez, Entwined Boot 301, Griffin of Might, Frankie Camarillo, Datadyne Executive, Crimson Phantom, Jin the Goblin, Papa Hud 69, The Gengar King, and Daunter. Thank you for the support, and if you want to become a member, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. We also have Buy Me Coffee if you want to support us that way. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and that part's free. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.